What the fuck is up? My name is Bruce. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So I basically wanted to come on here and film a story time video of some events that happened to me recently involving a sugar daddy. This is the story of how I gained slash lost a sugar daddy within a couple hours of meeting him. Before I start off the video, I do want to say I am in no way, shape, or form condoning going out and looking for a sugar daddy, or, you know, convincing anyone to try and go out there and, you know, risk their life meeting up with a stranger. So anyways, on to the story. So this story actually happened a couple days ago. It was actually last weekend from today. Today is May 9th, I believe, 2020. So I basically logged on to my account for a website that I have. So I basically logged on to my account for this website that I have where I actually met the sugar daddy. Throughout the video, I don't want to continue saying sugar daddy, so I'm going to give this guy a name. We're just going to go ahead and go with the name Bob. So Bob actually reached out to me on this website and sent me a message. We continued conversating for a while, and it ended up leading to us exchanging phone numbers. It turns out that he was actually in the area, in the LA area, and so was I, so it was pretty easy for us to meet up. We planned on meeting my next day off, so after the first day when we started messaging each other on the website, we met 2 days later after that day, after the first day that he sent me a message. So it was a Sunday night, and I remember I was getting ready. I had texted him saying that I'd be ready in about an hour or so. He said that he'd send a car for me, he'd send a lift to take me from my place to his place, and he didn't live too far from me, so it was about maybe like a 20 to 25 minute drive. I ended up texting him and letting him know that I just arrived, that I was outside, and that if he can meet me outside. So after sending him a message letting him know that I had arrived, I was out waiting for about 5-ish minutes, and I still have not heard back from him. A few moments later, I finally got a reply from him saying that he was on the phone with somebody and that his phone was on vibrate, so that he didn't see any of my messages being sent. So he had texted me telling me to walk over to the leasing office of his building and to find a little small keypad and pretty much tap it so that way he can buzz me in. After I get buzzed in, I walk up the stairs, I walk on over to the 3rd floor, where he was located at in the building, in the apartment complex. I knock on his door, he opens it, we greet each other, I walk in, yeah. So the thing is, I went in there with the intention of meeting him only. I want to say this before I go deeper into the story. That day that I met him, that night I met him, we agreed on us pretty much just hanging out, you know, like we told each other that we weren't gonna do anything, nothing sexual related. Plan was just to meet, just to hang out, just to vibe, you know. We conversate a little bit, we're drinking. At this point, it's only about 10 at night. It was 10 p.m. You know, we were conversating, we were drinking, we were laughing. The night seemed good. The night seemed like it was going well. It seemed like we were really hitting it off. It seemed like this could have been something good. So an hour or so goes by, and I actually head into his room. I tell him that I want to go ahead and explore the house. So I walk into his room, and from there on, we pretty much just bring the drinks over to his room. The vibe is still good. You know, we're pretty much in his room. We're still taking shots, listening to music. At one point, he grabs me and we start slow dancing to a slow song. Yeah, the night's going pretty well. You know, like I mentioned, we were really hitting it off. He actually went into his closet and told me he was gonna go look for a toy. I was assuming he was either talking about like a sex toy or just, I don't know what I thought maybe he was talking about. He actually was referring to a tray full of cocaine. So he decides to take a couple lines of coke in his closet. And I'm just sitting on the bed just watching him. He offers, I decline because I'm a pussy and I did not want to try it that night. Everything feels right. He tells me about what he does for a living. He's an interior designer. His work's really well. He shows me pictures on his phone. So it's about 11:30, close to midnight, and he tells me that he wants to take me down to the garage, to the parking garage. So we head on down there, and he tells me that he wants to show me his car collection. So we head on down there, and there I see, with license plate and everything with his last name, a Lamborghini, a McLaren, a nice Mercedes, a BMW. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen any of these kind of cars driving around, but I don't know what they're called. It's kind of like a Mario Kart, cool, like big go-kart looking kind of car. I've seen a few here in LA drive by on the street randomly. He owned one of those, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, he actually asks me if I want to go for a spin on one of the cars. So I just randomly picked the Lambo, and his crazy ass actually takes me around in donuts in the parking garage, which I have a little video clip of that I posted on my Instagram. But I have it saved, so I'll go ahead and post it right here so that way you guys can see it. His crazy ass was high on coke, and I still allowed or trusted him to go around and do those donuts around the fucking parking garage. This is where the story has a turning point. After going around the garage and me convincing him somehow to go onto the road and drive around the neighborhood, which by the way was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever experienced. I had never, it was something straight out of a movie. We were just driving really fast down the neighborhood streets around his apartment, windows down, wind blowing. It was a crazy experience. After all that, we head on back over to his apartment, which he somehow locked himself out of. He told me that there was another way to get in, so he went around the back to the little garden area. There's like from where his room is at inside the house, it leads to like a patio, like his own personal patio. So he went around the back, tried to climb that over, and then got in through like the screen door. There I was waiting in the hallway, waiting while he goes and opens the door. And as soon as I hear him approaching the door to unlock it from me from the inside, I hear some other voices in the house. So he unlocks the door, and he actually tells me that his roommate had woken up. I had no idea that he had a roommate. He never told me that he did. I thought that he, was living alone. I had no idea that there was somebody in there sleeping. So in I walk in, and there is his roommate, a young 22, 23-ish looking kind of guy, white boy, big builds. And he brought a guy over, and they were just pretty much kicking it right there in the living room, having a couple drinks. So I walk in, I greet them. I head on over back to the sugar daddy's room. We're just pretty much chilling in his room for a bit. He then asks me if I wanted to stay in the room and just have it be us two, or if I wanted to go out there and join them. It seemed pretty obvious that he wanted to go out there and join them for drinks, which I was totally down for. I mean, don't know why he asked me in the first place. So we both agreed on going back to the living room and joining them for drinks. So now it was me, the sugar daddy's roommate, and then the guy that the roommate had brought. So there's 4 of us. The roommate, I'm going to give him a name. So his name's Jake. The boy that the roommate had brought in, we'll give him a name. We'll go ahead and go with Daniel. It was me, sugar daddy, Jake, and Daniel. We were all in the living room. We were all chilling. We were all just drinking, having a good time. We're laughing. We're hanging out. I actually have a little clip of that too. I just remembered. So I'll go ahead and insert it somewhere on the next clip.
I had like a tiny gene. That fucking thing just goes off. Swear to God, the woman is 52.
After conversating for a little bit more longer, getting to know each other, the sugar daddy seemed to have a little bit of an interest in Daniel, so he goes ahead and takes Daniel to his room. I believe they mentioned that they wanted to go take a line of coke or something. So that just leaves me and Jake alone in the living room. At this point, I was a little buzzed, so I decided to conversate with him because I didn't want to make it awkward since it was just us 2 left in the living room. A few moments of talking, a few drinks later, and one thing led to another. He actually asked me for my phone number and he kissed me. Yes, Jake kissed me. Things were going to go south real quick, real bad. So Jake was actually very attractive. I'm typically not into white boys. There we were, we were in the living room kissing, and we ended up taking it over to his room. We hooked up, and after a while, we both pretty much just knocked out. I woke up later on that night and I headed over to the living room looking for my phone. And then I remember crashing on the couch for a little bit. A few moments went by. I actually don't know what time it is at this point, but my first instinct was to head over to the sugar daddy's room and go to sleep there. I get to the door and I tried turning the handle, but I noticed that door was locked. Before when he took Daniel to the room, the door wasn't locked, so I didn't want to go back and sleep on the couch, so I actually headed over to Jake's room, and I just knocked out there in his bed. I just wanted to knock out, I just wanted to go to sleep, but Jake had another idea and we ended up hooking up again. I know it seems kind of unnecessary to mention that we hooked up again, but I feel like it's necessary because the second time we did hook up was actually when the sugar daddy had hurt us. He mentions this to me the next morning, and I'll tell you a little bit about it in a little bit. So yeah, after that, we finally go to sleep. We finally both knock out, and yeah. The next morning comes along. It's about 9 in the morning. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I freshen up a little bit, and then I head on over back to Jake's room. So Jake's there sitting on the bed, he's on his phone. We talk a little bit about last night and how things went. I ask him where the sugar daddy had went to, and I ask him where Daniel went to. So he tells me that Daniel actually headed home, that he had to do some things, so he actually left a little early. He mentions that the sugar daddy had left early as well, and that the sugar daddy actually went to the Ralph's across the street to go buy and go look for some bread. So with that being said, yes, I'm gonna mention it again. I know, but I feel like it's important to mention it in the story. Me and Jake actually end up hooking up again in the morning. Finally, this time, last time, the sugar daddy actually walks in on us. So he walks in on us and I immediately pull him off of me, and we both just kind of stare at him. Me and Jake both kind of just stare at him while he's right there standing in the doorway. He looks upset. He asks Jake to leave the room so that way he can go ahead and speak to me for a little bit. I didn't know what to tell him. I didn't know what to say. I didn't feel like I owed him anything. I felt like I was just having fun. To him, that's not how he saw it. He saw it as me being disrespectful. He saw it as me. He basically told me that I was supposed to be there for him, that I was supposed to be on his time. He was questioning whether he should drop me or not. And as soon as he said that, that's when I started getting a little bit worried. One thing that I forgot to mention before all this is back when I mentioned that he was showing me some of the work that he has done, because he is an interior designer, I actually saw a couple videos on his photo library while he was scrolling through his phone that I was curious about, but I didn't want to mention to him. I didn't want to tell him that I wanted to see them, but they were actually clips or little video clips of bunch of money on a mattress. With that being said, I knew this guy had money. He lived in a nice area of LA. He had the cars for it. He had the job for it. So I knew that this guy was the real deal. And after more of him telling me how he felt disrespected, how he felt disrespected not only by me, but by his roommate. Apparently this isn't the first time that this has happened. So he was upset. I've said this. He was upset. He was definitely upset with me. I told them basically that I had to go. I definitely did not want to sit there and completely go in circles, having to tell him that I had no idea that the night was going to end up going that way, that I was just trying to have fun. I made up some lies saying that I had work when really I had a day off that day again. So I told him I had work in a couple hours, that I had to go home and shower and get into my uniform. So in that moment of me trying to gather my things, he actually gives me an ultimatum. He tells me that if I don't do anything with him then and there, in that moment, that he would drop me, that he would want me to lose his number, delete him off of the website that I had met him on, that he would drop me in that second if I did not do anything with him, anything sexual with him in that moment. And in that moment, I really just wanted to get out of that situation. I did not want to be lectured by someone. I did not want to hear anything. I had a huge headache. I just wanted to get out of there, go home, shower, and knock the fuck out on my bed. So I tell him, you know, I say, I have work in a couple hours. Please, can we talk about this another day? Please, I can come back afterwards. I'm so sorry. He was being very persistent, very demanding, telling me that if I do not do anything with him right in that moment, that he would drop me, that he has plenty of other boys, plenty of other guys that would be more than happy to take my place. Again, like I mentioned, I did not want to be there. I did not want to hear what he had to say. I didn't know how serious he was in that moment. All I could think about was me and the headache I had and me wanting to crash in the comfort of my own house. So I head on over to the living room, and as I was getting ready to leave out the front door, I look over and there was Jake in the living room. He was watching TV. I tried waving at him at one point, you know, try to wave bye to him. I could tell he felt ashamed, or he felt a little stupid that he got caught. I don't know if he was living off of the sugar daddy's money, if he was living for free there. I didn't know what kind of arrangement they had, but you could definitely tell that the sugar daddy was definitely pissed at him. Sugar daddy walks over from the room to the living room, and he tells me that he wants me to lose his number. He wants me to delete his number. He wants me to delete him off of everything. And, you know, he wants to lose contact with me, basically. I tell him I'm so sorry, that I can come back later, that I'll text him after I'm off work. Again, I didn't actually have work. I just really wanted to get out of the situation. And the next thing you know, I'm out the door. Not even 3 seconds of me closing the door behind me, I hear him lock the door behind me. I head on down. I'm out of the apartment complex. I head into my Uber. The windows are rolled down. My AirPods are in. I'm just listening to music. I'm just chilling. I'm just really trying not to throw up into the back of that car. I finally get home. I knock out for a couple hours. I wake up later on that afternoon, and I decide to text the sugar daddy again, apologize to him, and try to see if we can actually meet up later that night. He didn't end up blocking me. He did mention that he wanted me to lose contact with him, but I did go ahead and text him. It did say delivered. I saw that as a good thing, maybe thinking that I would give him a little bit of time so that way he can blow off some steam, get over it, and then see where it goes from there. Today is May 9th that I'm filming this video. This happened last weekend. To this day, I still have not heard from him, so I don't know if I ever will hear from him. Knowing me, I'm still holding on to hope because, like I said, this guy was the real deal. I've had sugar daddies in the past where the max that they'll give me is $100. They'll buy me food, they'll take me out, they'll call lifts for me to go back and forth from their place to mine. But this guy had money, I'm telling you. He had the cars for it, he had the cash in his wallet, he had the drugs for it. So you can see why I really wanted to hold on to hope that he would get back to me. And that is where the story ends, unfortunately. I'm still holding on to hope. Hopefully he will get back to me. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. There was drinking involved. I definitely wanted to have a good time. I did mention to him that he did leave the group and went headed over to his room, and he took that kid, he took the boy with him. So I had no other choice but to conversate with his roommate. And one thing led to another, and like I said, there was drinking involved. So I didn't know what else to tell him. Lost the sugar daddy within a couple hours of meeting him. Thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment. Follow me on my social medias, I'll list them down below. I'll also try to place it somewhere here if I can do that, if I can figure out how to edit that shit. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, I never know how to end these shits, so I'm just going to end it here.